Right.
The house of consciousness.
That's right.
Let's go on, Brother Bobby Hemmitt. We left off last night, brother, where we was talking about they already have it mapped out who's going to be the next president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they kind of underestimating just how probably sexist and racist this country is by thinking that Hillary Clinton can actually win. And they wouldn't vote on a woman that they like, let alone one that they hate. You see, so it's, so it could very well be that Giuliani can win. He's still the front runner, And we just have to see how it goes. But we already know that they already pick people. They already pick people. The ruling class or these particular secret societies already pick people to do certain things. So we just have to see how that goes. It's just like they knew that Clinton was going to win, and they picked him in, I think they said, the summer of 1990 in Baden-Baden, Germany. Bill Cooper used to talk about that. So we probably know that they picked. We know that they picked Bush, you see, because he even faked the election and was appointed. So more than likely, if Giuliani's a front runner, it could very well be that way, that he could be the next president. Mm-hmm. You see, so this is something that could very well be in our times. To see how this goes.
Talk to us, brother, about the lecture last night. It was a beautiful turnout. You dropped it on Anubis. I mean, you just went in dealing with the ancient Hemmites.
Oh, yes.
Talk to us about that. Is it anything that you left out that you would like to address?
Yes, I wanted to tell people the mysteries. If we could put it on this one, the mysteries on how they can take these statues and bring them into their home.
Hold it up, Santi.
Take these statues.
Move your hands so they can see it.
And bring them into the home.
Right.
Yeah. And you bring these statues into your home and you set them around, and immediately these statues are actually bringing in energies from someplace else, from another dimension. So the ancient Hemmitt priests, or the ancient Egyptian priests, used to go into the ethers or go into the other dimensions through meditation, through visions and whatever, and they would see a certain energy. Mm-hmm. And if they wanted that energy to permeate into this realm, they would create a deity that was conducive to bring that energy through. Now, since this cycle has returned, which it says, a woman, Dion Fortune, in a book called The Cosmic Doctrine, said that certain energies that was in the configuration during the times of Atlantis, certain stars and certain stars. She mentioned Gemini for some reason, and which we know that's Gemini is the two twins, but it also represents the union of male and female in the tarot cards. And so she said, with those days that that influenced Atlantis will influence Atlantis once again, or influence the Earth once again. So, as you know, in my journey, I started out in Hemmitt, and I did Hemmitt for a number of years, a lot of stuff on the Egyptian base. And then it was time for me to go around the world, so we hit India, we hit Asia, we covered things around the world. Some of the new information is going to be coming out is going to be research on the Olmecs. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, the Linda's, my queen mother who passed, I forgot to mention in the lecture this last night, that when we traced one of her names, and one of her names was Vescolanza, one of her spiritual names was Vescolanza, which means a energy that was deep under the pyramids of the Aztec pyramids, or the Olmec pyramids, which later that goes all the way back to this energy, goes all the way back to the Olmecs. So she's an Olmecian goddess. Olmecan goddess Vescalanza. So these are things that we're constantly doing these research. But on the other hand, a lot of things happened in summer where a lot of Camite gateways started opening up, and we had to come back and start dealing with a lot of the Egyptian stuff because a lot of the prophecy is also based around the Camite mysteries. So now you can take these. So we bought a lot of statues, and you can take these images, and whatever type of energy you want, all you would do is to line these images up with these statues and bring these energies through. So in so many words, you can get certain books that would give you the energy of astrological energy. Would give you the astrological energy of a certain deity. And I'm trying to think of any type of deities that would line up. There's another book called The Shamanistic Mysteries of Ancient Egypt. The Shamanistic Mysteries of Ancient Egypt. It just came out probably in the spring of the year. And I'm hoping that book you'll be able to find the astrological and astronomical sequences that correspond with the Egyptian deities. There's another book called the Magical Tradition in Egypt. Egypt. So what you're still going to have to do is just go to your metaphysical store or anything, or go online and find out what deities correspond with what astrological signs. And basically you can line these deities up, and what are their characteristics that corresponds with this, with stones, perfumes, and different things. I know one book is the Kabbalistic, Alistair Crowley's Kabbalistic 777, that in the middle of the book, the table of correspondence, it will give you what deities correspond with zodiacs, what deities correspond with perfumes, what deities correspond with colors, what deities correspond with stones, what deities correspond with sacred animals. The sacred animals. And you want to try to get some of these things. You can probably go online and get a lot of this particular stuff. But anyway, you want to start dealing and bringing these type of images into your home so that they can line up a certain thing, whereas you can have a certain amount of energy that you can manage your life on a certain level because you have the energies around to do it. And that's what happens a lot of times when we get in trouble, or we get sick, or we get confused, we get depressed, is because we didn't put a certain altar in the house that is connected with the ancestors and is connected with the deities. You see what I'm saying? You don't see no Asians that don't have an altar in their house that's not based on an ancestor that passed. The East Indians do it. The Africans do it in some type of way. In some type of way. The Africans do it in some type of way. So you want to start lining up these type of energies. And so in so many words, what would happen here is the Egyptian priests would fix the temples to take care of every kind of thing that a person would need. Let me give you an example. When a person would get sick, and they needed a certain operations or certain things done, the last resort would be surgery. Now what they would actually do they would actually find out what a person's head is. It's about like the Yoruba tradition with, you got Obatala, you got these Orishas, these deities, Obatala, Oshun, Yemenya, Ogun, Legba, Babaluaye, you see what I'm saying, Oya. And you would basically find out, and the Yoruba priests give you the deity that sets over your head. So you would find out what head that deity is and correspond to you or your family or whatever. Like me, I'm a Batala. My whole family is a Batala, and a Batala governs the head. That's what knowledge and teaching and all of that stuff comes from. And my mother was a school teacher. And so what happens here is you would find out what head. So you do the same thing in the Egyptian pantheon. They would find out what deity, whether it be Aset, whether it be Sekhmet, whether it be Heru, whether it be Tahuti, whether it be Heru. You see, they would find out what deity it is. They'd find out what deity it is, and they would actually bring that person into the temple. Now, when they bring that person into the temple, whatever that deity would be that's dominant over that person, they would do this ceremony, and they would bring down the energies of that particular deity. And they would say, well, this person has this done to them, this person has this done to them, and they would go in and they operate. The deity would actually come down and operate. And either healing. You see what I'm saying? From the spirit side. Now, so it is not far-fetched that you can do this in your own home. It's not far-fetched that you can do this in your own home. You can probably, by aligning yourself with certain statues, you can probably end up manifesting a certain amount of energy in your own home. And when someone gets sick, even prosperity, you find out what deities or whatever with prosperity. But I'll give you an example of what we do and what I do in my home. Whenever I want some finance, and I have a row of Egyptian statues, and I've had a finance. What I would do is I would go get some green candles and put at least 2 around the actual statues, and those green candles would burn. And you can basically, it's not so mystical. We are in very close contact with the gods, or at least the gods want you to be. So it's going to work when you do it, because the simple fact, for the mere fact that you are not brainwashing to thinking that things is evil or another religion or whatever thing he is, that they're going to work for you, because you've taken the initiative to come to them. You see, so let's say you go and you find you an Aset statue, or an Anubis statue, or a Tahuti statue, and or an Osiris statue, and or a statue of the Sphinx, or Sekhmet, any of these particular statues that you can come up with, and you burn that green candle, or those 2 green candles, and you say in your own words what you want to happen. Then what will actually happen here is you're going to be successful with it. It's going to manifest. You see, it's going to manifest. So now, to make those energies, because it's not the statues, they're not worshiping statues. They are only manifesting or bringing through or congregating with energies of spirits that exist or reside in the quantum world, which is a world that you don't see, the invisible world. So these things are going to be very successful. But what you want to do now, so that certain energies don't get blocked, you want to dust off the statues and keep them clean. One thing is you can spray them down every other day. The Egyptians used to clean the statue daily, every day. But what you can do is you can every other day, you can spray, you can get you some Florida water and spray the area around the statues, or the altar around the statues. You see what I'm saying? Because it could be an altar. And you can spray those, you can spray it, and spray the Florida water on the statue and around the area, and keep it dusted. And what will happen here is it will actually, the energy will grow. Then you can also feed the spirits. The statue is only a template or a location to identify a spirit that is invisible. So you can feed these spirits. Sometimes you come in and you get you a plate of food, you fix the spirits a plate of food. To give you an example, my queen's mother just passed on October the 2nd, 2007. And since she, and actually she went into a coma for a week before that. But since she passed into that coma, she has been in Restaurant Central, because whatever we eat, we fix her a plate. We buy actual sweets, because she was a sweet person. She liked sweets, which might have been detrimental to her health in the physical body. But once she got rid of the physical body, that means that she wants all the sweets that she could get. So we the sweets, the different foods, and she actually contacted us and said how she's enjoying all of the foods. And this gives that person energy to peacefully make the transition into their higher selves. So a lot of times the reason why you don't hear from some of your ancestors is because about 40 days after death, they transform back into that original soul. They have many lives, so they transform into that original soul. And if they were on a conscious level, they were these unique individuals when they were living, more than likely they go to higher realms. They go to higher realms. But in order for them to make that transition, you need to make life extremely comfortable for them. And one way to do that is not to grieve, because it confuses them. You see. Why? Because it's almost like a little guilt. Because here it is, they are chilling in this miraculous comfort zone that is nothing short of paradise. And because my mother even told me when she passed on July 20th, 2006, that had I known that this thing was the way it was, words can't even describe the magnitude of where we are and what we are dealing with. Especially if it's a soul that hadn't been trapped because of some confusion in the physical world in the beginning. And so sometimes it can be a little guilt for them, or either worry about you when you are grieving on the other side. And here it is on the other side, you grieving for them, and on the other side they're in this miraculous place. And you grieving for them, and a lot of times, and the ignorance of it is, a lot of times when you grieve for people, you're not really grieving for people because they passed on, because you've been told all your lives. And most people say it. Even when you go to the most humble people say, she's in a better place, he's in a better place. So a lot of times your grief is not necessarily for the person that passed. Your grief is a confusion and a frustration on how you're going to deal with this person leaving you behind. So a lot of people grieve, you see what I'm saying, based on sorrow, because they don't know how they're going to take it. Not the person that's left, but how am I going to live without the person once that person goes. And that particular person is in utter paradise. You see what I'm saying? So I even look at, and the death is the ultimate key for most people. Even the mass murderers and stuff, that when you would say something like, when they would put they would have the death penalty. When you put a person to death, you're giving the person the ultimate gift. If you really want a person to pay for something that they did that's so miraculous on the earth plane, you need to just lock them up for life. You see, but to put a person to death, that's one of the greatest things, and it's one of the greatest honors you can give that person. So in so many words, you actually honor the person by putting that person to death instead of giving them life. Because death is just a beautiful realm. What I'm trying to say, especially with our ancestors and the people is passed on. So we really got to get on top of this grieving thing and try to understand death more. There's several books out. Dion Fortune's book, Through the Gates of Death. There's a guy by Dr. John Mumford wrote a book on death. There's a Tibetan Book of the Dead that deals with death on a certain level. So there's several books that you can get on trying to understand what this whole death process is. There's a book called Becoming Osiris that deals with the whole death process. Anything you read that can clear up your confusion, because it's inevitable, and especially most of us going to have family members that pass on every day. And how you deal with it is how you even manifest on a higher level down here on the earth plane. You see, so now getting back to these particular rituals that you can do, you want to do these particular rituals. Let me give you a good one to show you some things that we can do to help ourselves in our lives. My queen that moved from Washington, D.C. to Maryland area to Atlanta, Georgia on the 15th of March of 2004, first thing she did was she would come in and take all the bills and get some type of tablet like this, a little tablet like this, notebook, and she would write all the bills, write out each one of the bills and put paid by each one, put paid by each bill. And lo and behold, that's been going on 4 years now. These 4 years this March the 15th, and those bills have been met. Just by the magic, by doing this each month, a magical aspect. So you want to do certain things like this each month. And give you some other rituals. Was one real good one that you can do. Whereas if you have a person that just won't leave you alone, a person that harasses you, but not on a hostile level, just a person that's annoying. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of people we got a lot of friends like that. What you want to do is get a plastic cup. A plastic cup. And you want to take something that looks like a business card. You can take an index card and cut it off and write that person's name on it. And then write "chill out" on that card. But you want to get it with a permanent marker or something that's permanent, because you don't want it to fade. Because what you're going to do is you're going to take that plastic cup and you're going to fill it up with water, and you're going to put that index card or that piece of paper down in. So you want a card, you don't want nothing to dissolve so fast before it freezes. So you want to put that thing in the water that says "chill out." And you want to put it in the water, and you want to put it in the freezer. And that person will chill out. That person will actually leave you alone. Then there's the other magical trick that I've been telling people for years, is if a person is a little more hostile, what you want to do is you want to take a brown bottle, a brown beer bottle, a brown root beer bottle. I say root beer bottle because you can find the root beer bottles that's brown and they don't have any paper on it. But what you can still do is find a brown beer bottle and soak the paper and soak it in some water till the paper come off. And you want to pour not no decaf but liquid coffee. The stronger the better. As long as it's not decaf, liquid coffee in that brown bottle. Then you want to take a brown piece of paper bag and tear it off and write on that brown piece of paper bag that person's name. And you can even say "cease and desist" or "stop bothering you." Or it could be a restraint. Restrain this person from coming around you, and you put that you could put that name in the brown bottle and put the cap on it and set it up in your closet somewhere. Set it up somewhere that's out of the reach of traffic, out of reach of people. And these things work. These things work real good. Another thing you can do is you can take a, you can go to a Botanica or whatever and try to find you a little round thing that looks like a little wall. It looks like a acorn or something like that, but it's a wall. It's a buckeye. You want to get you a buckeye, and you want to take it. Now this is for money. You want to take the buckeye and wrap that buckeye in a dollar bill. Wrap that buckeye in a dollar bill. So you take the dollar bill and you take the buckeye and you fold and you wrap the dollar bill around the buckeye. You can put a little piece of Scotch tape on it so it can stay. And you want to get you a little plastic bag. You know the ones that they sell them now. You can get them at the drugstore or whatever. It used to be the little nickel bag type thing, or you can get something. And you want to put that buckeye in that plastic bag with that dollar bill, and you want to wear it on your person. You want to wear it, you put it in your pocketbook or put it in your pants pocket or whatever. And that will bring money to you. That will bring money to you. Another way to bring money to you is to spend money. Not spend money frivolously, but never hesitate to spend money on things that you need. If you need it, don't cut corners. And never hesitate to spend money on people that you care about, to go out to restaurants and just live it up for a time, because it's currency. So it flows. You see what I'm saying? But when you hoard money, you see what I'm saying? The money will repel. Another thing is, they say if you follow knowledge, money will run to you. If you follow money, money will run from you. You see. So let's go into some other things that you could actually do. You could actually take some change. That's why it's good to collect change. Not necessarily pennies, but we want to do one with the pennies too. Now, one that you can do every Monday, or you do it you don't do it every Monday, you do it every 2 weeks, because you want it to flow. So you take 16 pennies. Take these 16 pennies. You go down to a crossroads. That's any street with 4 corners. And you put 4 pennies on each corner. And you ask Legba, which is the Yoruba god, or Ishu, the Yoruba god of the crossroads. You ask Legba at the crossroads for financial assistance or financial lead. You see. And you can do this stuff roughly, because you don't want the greed to kick in. You don't want to just be about the money and not be about the spirit, which I'll get into how most of this stuff is going to work. But you want to do it about every 2 weeks. You see what I'm saying? You want to do it about every 2 weeks. And if things are flowing for you real well, don't be greedy. Don't do it when things are to the point where, as you know, you're getting the money, but all of a sudden you still want to run down there and do it. You want to let it flow for you a certain way, and you don't want to bother the entities on another way. I always say this also too, that if you get a ritual that is done by an entity comes, or an entity that you read about, an entity or something, and you do a ritual. Let's say if you do the Legba ritual, you would honor Legba. You would honor Legba by going to get some books on the Legba, or some Yoruba books, or whatever that tradition, and studying up on that tradition. You see what I'm saying? And that's where things will come even faster, because it means that you are sincere, but you're not just doing stuff because of money. The problem with our people are we try to do things. We try to do things when we get in trouble. You see, Otherwise, like one brother was going to court one day, so he's going to come by the house the night before he's supposed to go to court. And I'm like, you knew that most court cases give you about a month to 2 weeks to prepare to go to court. Now you knew, and most of it's about a month. You knew you was going to court. Why are you going to come and try to get some magic or get something? You try to get something the night before the court case. This is crazy. You know, this is crazy. So, you're going to have to balance things from a spiritual life to a physical life. So you want to get in the habit of doing these things. You see what I'm saying? You want it to become second nature in your life. You see, now here's a good love ritual. Now, I'll explain the love rituals. I remember I was doing a lecture down in Harlem back in the 99, I think it was 99. And I was selling these rituals. It's a page with about 20 rituals on it. And nobody was buying them. And I said, well, I got 7 love rituals in these rituals. And these are rituals that came from a papyrus in Egypt. And I was selling the rituals. And I said, I got 7 love rituals on it. And soon as I said that, it was a pile of black women that stood up, about 20 of them, to get those rituals. So now, when you're doing a love ritual, we'll choose a deity. In this particular case, we're going to choose Oshun. Oshun is the goddess of love. She's the Yoruba goddess of love, but she wears yellow, or gold is considered her color. Gold or type of yellow is considered her color. So what you want to do is you want to go get you a jar of honey. You want to get a jar of honey, but if you can, try to get that paper off of it. Because any other words when you deal with ritual will confuse. So you want to get a jar. If you can, it's got to be clear. So get you a clear jar, even if you got to pour the honey out of another jar into the clear jar. You see. So you want to get you a jar of honey. And you want to get you a yellow piece of paper. A little strip. You tear it off a strip about this big as a business card, or smaller. And you want to write on that paper, always with a permanent marker. Always with a permanent marker. You want to write on that page, on that piece of paper. You want to write, at the top you write Oshun. That's O-S-H-U-N. Oshun. You write it at the top. Then you take the person that you're interested in and you write that particular person's name. Then you write your name up under that person's name. And then you put love and romance. And then you take that jar of honey and you put the paper with that your name and that person's name on a permanent paper. You put it in, the paper in the honey. Encase the paper in the honey. It's like encasing that person's love into something sweet. So you encase it into the honey. Then you go to some place that has running water, like a creek, a stream, or a river. You see. And you want to open up that jar when you get to the river. Pour some of the actual honey in the river, a drop or two. Then you want to close that jar up real tight. But when you're pouring the honey in the river, you say, Oshun, Osho. What will be, will be. And you drop that jar of honey, when you close it up, into the river. Now, the first thing will happen is this. This ritual works about 3 months. it will give you the asshole clause, which means if this person that you can't live without or you want to do some, you want to be with, if that ritual works, it's going to work about 3 months. It's going to work about 3 months. So if this person is an asshole, or it's a person that just as a person that you realize it was not the person that you thought it was going to be, or thought he or thought she was going to be, then what will happen after 3 months, this thing will wear off. And two things will happen. If it's a true love that is meant for you, and the person just needed an attitude adjustment so that it can get focused into your path, then you might have you a bona fide love, romance, or whatever have you. But if it's not for you, at least 3 months, you can walk away and it won't be some spell that has you bound forever that you can't get rid of because you done put this spell on a person. So this is a safe spell that you can actually do. This is a safe spell that you can actually do. We talked about getting some stuff called Crayolan, and you can get it at you can order it online, Crayolan, or you can go to her Botanica and you mop your floors with this stuff, with this Crayolan. It is good to get candles because see one thing what happens with candles, and you only deal with 7-day candles if you're going to do something with the glass. You don't deal with no candles outside of no glass, but you want to deal with these particular candles. But if a negative energy comes in your house, then that candle will burn black. Or if you get in an argument, you and your spouse or whatever, you get in an argument, that candle would burn black just to show you how disrupted the ethers or the space that you have caused based on arguments and stuff like that. So you want to deal with some candle burning also. Other things to align yourself up with is sacred oils or crystals. These are all types of things. Now, one good part about the magic is that at this time, because we're so late into the eons of history, till most magic that you make up yourself is more powerful than past rituals that our ancestors made up. You see what I'm saying? Now, one way I do, or you can do, is you can take the older rituals, and to activate them, you just fuse them with some stuff that you make up yourself. So, because it's interesting how you have all these bookstores that will have all this magical stuff. Now, if it was really that much of something that could work that well, they wouldn't have them in those stores. These are defunct rituals over the eons. But what they don't tell you here is, because when the first thing you get when you get that book, when you get the magical books, they're going to tell you that you got to be so precise and so precise to do it exactly how it is supposed to be done. That is to ensure that these rituals don't work, because they know that these rituals are very old. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times they won't work. So they don't tell you. The only thing you have to do is to infuse your own magic or your own thoughts and creativity into whatever ritual you're doing, and you will activate that ritual. One of the keys is this: never think that a thought that comes in your head to say, do this with the ritual, is stupid because it came in your head. That's what makes it more magical. You see, that's what makes it more magical. When something that pops in your head spontaneous. That is the Spirit telling you this is what needs to be done. So don't become such an orthodox person in the methodology of what you're reading and what you're studying that you don't put your own energies into it. Because after all, we are the ones that's living in this physical modern world. So therefore it has to have some type of our own energy to make that thing work. You see, to make that work. You see, so there's several things you can do. Let's say for protection, you can take black-eyed peas and put in 4 corners of the house. You see, for dreams, for better dreaming, you put a bowl of water under your bed. Now it tells you that you can creative dream or wake up in your dreams or dealing with dreams by just simply reminding yourself before you go to bed that you want to experience the dream that you might have that night. You see, to give an example, how many times you didn't have an alarm clock and needed to be somewhere and you said to yourself, oh, I'll just set the timer in my mind and I'm going to wake up. You purposely said you was going to wake up at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock so you could be somewhere at 8. You see what I'm saying? You purposely did that. You see, and you wake up. You wake up. So it's the same thing you can do. You can do also when it comes to creative dreaming. When you want to be conscious of what you're doing. Now, a lot of people play a lot of lottery, and it is my experience that they didn't put these lotteries in most of these cities for black people who have this particular connection with numbers to hit every day. So a lot of times when it comes to the lottery, it's still Russian roulette because the lottery that you have as far as legal lotteries are fake. A lot of people used to hit more money on the illegal lotteries back in the day. You see what I'm saying? Not necessarily saying that you can try to devise some plan and you got to stay out of it totally. But but unfortunately for a lot of our people is that's all we do. We figure when we want to get something magical, we run to the lottery with whatever we have because we have these particular dreams. You see. But remember, it's fake, and basically they showed you in a movie called, I think it was called Lucky Numbers with John Travolta. And in that particular movie, they basically put powder in the balls that they injected the balls with some type of baby powder or talcum powder that they didn't want to come up, and the 3 balls that they did want to come up, you see what I'm saying, automatically rose, especially if they set them on top, because the simple fact they didn't have the powder in them. So I say that to say that you gotta kind of slow down when it comes to the lottery aspect of that type of thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't play, but just remember that you're playing something that's not necessarily honest in the aspect of a random chance of you winning. This thing is designed for, and especially designed for black people, to spend up all their money on the weekdays, and all of a sudden white folks hit the big lotteries. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that you can't deal with it, but it shouldn't be the thing that you say, you're going to put all your eggs in one basket and only deal with that. You see. So these are some things that you can actually do to prepare yourself for a life of a magical life, a magical living. Another thing you can do magically is food. Good food is magic. Yes, you can watch your diet and all of this, but sometimes we get too caught up. But if a food is enjoyable and or enjoying, you know the stuff that harms you. But I'm not talking about things that you shouldn't eat like pork or these things or whatever. But you know the food that is is safe for you are the food that, you know, if you eat in moderation. You see, these are the foods I'm talking about. What you want to do now to make it magical is you want to change up the food when you eat. So what becomes magical when you give your palate, your taste buds, several things that's different. Your soul is a living entity, so don't treat it as if it's some type of stray dog outside that you don't need to give it what it needs. You don't need to give the soul what it desires, you see. Or like you feed animals over and over the same thing and take it for granted that, well, they're animals, they're dogs, they don't need that much of a change. And that might be right, but not necessarily for humans, you see. So a different change in food is very key. Another thing, you never ever cook food or eat food when you're mad. If you get in a funky altercation with the person that's preparing your food before she prepares your food or he prepares your food, you can literally get sick. So make sure that everything is harmony, at least when it comes to dinner time or whenever that person walks in that kitchen to prepare your food. Which also means that magically you shouldn't eat with certain people. You shouldn't break bread with your enemies because you can get sick. No. You see, you can. So my point here is, a table is almost like a gateway. It's a porthole, especially when you got a combination of different foods and you got a feast. Now, if you're sitting around the table and you got all this delicious food and stuff, and then you got somebody in the house that don't particularly like you, or you don't particularly like, you're gonna run into problems, because the simple fact here is you are both sharing your energies around a table or a gateway. It was in the movie Pan's Labyrinth also. In that movie, when they told the little girl to go in, she cut a hole in the wall in the chalk and she went into this mystical world. But they told her, whatever you do, do not eat nothing when you in that mystical world, because it can be problems. Well, on the other hand, this is also what's happening, and what will happen in when you eat lunch or eat dinner with people that you don't like. You see, you can pretty much harm yourself. You see, so there's several ways of magical living. Another way, music. Music is a sacred way of doing things, but you will always have your standards you grew up on, and things that you love. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't play those things, but you need to mix it up sometime with stuff that you're not familiar with. Because here it goes again. We all breaking this thing back down to melanin, which is the source of magic, and which is the source of magic. And even with music, and it needs to experience different sounds, or otherwise it goes dormant. So you can actually go to sleep spiritually by listening to the same thing or eating the same food day after day after day. You see, day after day, you can actually get sick. You know, there's so many rituals. So many things can be done. Just don't have enough time, but there's healing rituals and different things also. Now, one good healing ritual, and this is one that you can do on the spot. If a person is hurting, if a person is internally hurting or something, what you can do, even if they got aches and pains, what you can do is you can imagine the Kundalini fire shooting up your spine. So you imagine this fire shooting up your spine. You take it into the third eye, then you bring it down in what arm that you want to use, whether you left-handed or right-handed, or what arm is comfortable for you, the one that's connected to your hand. So you bring that energy down. So you're visualizing this fire that's coming up your spine. Then you envision a refined fire that is white and light. And you basically direct that fire from the Kundalini energy to the third eye, then direct it into a bright light to your hand. And your hand you should imagine your hand as a big ball of white light. And then when you put it on whatever ails a person or ail yourself, always identify the ailment as something red and pulsating that's ailing. Then you imagine the white light gradually dissolving the red into the white light. And as a result, you are healed. The healing hand. So that's one way to do it as far as laying hands on people to heal. Well, you could do that just by utilizing your Kundalini energy and directing it to the hand that you want to heal the person with. This is great healing tools, and these things work. You see, these things work well. You see, so want to give you that right quick, and I'm going to take a little break and then
all right.
Okay, one other thing that you want to do is you want to learn how to read. You want to learn how to read people. So I suggest that you get a pendulum. You can go to any metaphysical stores or any place you can and get a pendulum. And you can do a lot with a pendulum. And I suggest you get one. And there's several books you can get on a pendulum if you want to get it sophisticated with it. But what I'm trying to do is to get you so that you can get a pendulum, and especially one with a crystal on the end. Real powerful pendulums. But what you want to do is you want to get a pendulum, and you want to take it in your forehand like this. Now, if it goes up, so if it goes vertical, that can be no. If it goes horizontal, that can be yes. So you take the pendulum. If you ask this question, am I going to get the job tonight? I'll give you an example with my necklace and show you. You say, am I going to get this? So you're going to buy you a crystal pendulum or any kind of pendulum. You can get them with onks on the end. And you go, am I going to get this job tonight? If it goes vertical towards your fingers, that's no. Or you say, am I going to get this job tonight? And the pendulum, if it goes horizontal, that's yes. So you want to pick a deity that you're comfortable with, whether it be Anubis, Tahuti, Legba, any deity that you're comfortable with. And like I said, this would be no, where it's going towards your fingers. And this would be yes. Or you choose. If you wanted to go towards your fingers vertical as yes and horizontal as no, then you do it. Basically what the energy is doing here is you already know the thoughts in the back of your subconscious mind, and it's converting it into the energy with the pendulum. So this is a good way to do readings. Before I took a little break, I said another way you can so get your pendulum with like I said, any crystal pendulum or any kind of pendulum. You can even make pendulums. But another thing, and there's a book now, you can get sophisticated on pendulums when you can get a book called Pendulum Power or How to Use a. There's several books on pendulums. But before I went to the break, I said that there's a way you can get change. You can get when people save change, you want to get something when they give you nickels, dimes, and quarters or what have you. If you've got a little bucket of change, so you save your change for nickels, dimes, and quarters that you can use on a magical a magical way. So what you do is you take the change and go in a room that's very clean in your house, or a room that you consider sacred, or a room that is not visited much by a lot of traffic, and you go and you take the coins and throw them up in the air and you let them land. Now you can use a god. You can do, it could be Legba, it can be Urzuli, it can be Oshun, it can be Yemonja, it can be Aset, it can be whatever system that you feel more comfortable. You take the coins and you throw them up in the air and let them hit the floor. The more coins, the better, and this will bring a flow of money in also. This will bring a flow of money in also. So these are certain magical things you can do, you know, as a, you know, magical things you can do as a way of making your life a little manageable, a little better in the spirit realm. And as you go on, there's several other things you can deal with spiritually. You can deal with spiritually also. But these are great things you can also do. Several oils, several scents, and several things that you can do. You know, there's several books on sacred oils and different books you could also get. The Book of Psalms we now know comes from the Akhenaten's hymns. So anytime you had a botanica and they got these magical books, the Book of Psalms, get those books because those are Egyptian in origin. Or you can just go to the Book of Psalms in the Bible. And you know, in the Bible, and they are Egyptian in origin also. Another thing is, you know, as far as finances, is getting you some statue to the goddess Lakshmi. And try to go online and find out the things that appeases Lakshmi, which is also a form of the goddess of prosperity, and goddess of prosperity. And these are things that you could also do. So I just wanted to give you a synopsis of things magically that you can go into, things that we was doing in ancient Kemet, in ancient Africa, in ancient Australia, or whatever. You see. You know, so these are things that we was doing to live magically before monetary gain. But even in the monetary system, we can still use the forces to bring them in to help us. To help us. Like I said, there's some I think it's called Sacred Magic of Ancient Egypt by Rosemary Clark, Volume 1 and Volume 2. It gets into how this particular magic stuff works. You can get those particular books. The new book that's out is called Shamanistic Magic of Shamanistic Wisdom of Ancient Egypt, which is trying to give you a psychological way on how to open up your heart chakra. And when you open up your heart chakra, you receive more things. Because it's from this heart that's the most central figure in Egypt. The central point here is your heart. You can't hide your, you can tell people lies, you can front that you're this particular person, but when you're dealing with your heart, you're dealing with your own energy and you cannot hide. But when you open up your heart, then the blessings will come to you. The blessings will come to you. You know. So these are things you can do. You know, to help yourself. Any other?
No. You can say stay tuned till I see you next month or whatever.
Sure enough. We just keep it rolling. We'll meet here again, the same bat channel, same bat time. And
next time I'm gonna have my babies at my mother's house.
Yeah, it's all great. You know, that's the energy.
Right.
So I hope you can learn from some of the rituals that I gave you. And just remember, a lot of healing that you can get could be healing of the mind, healing through your mind, and different things you can do. You know, you can heal by taking crystals and put them inside water, and then you can making it a holy water. You see what I'm saying? Then recite some type of invocation to whatever God that you want to heal you. So you get some crystals and put it in some water. Let it sit about a day or so. Then you want to recite, you might want to recite the healing wisdom of Aset. So you would write up a poem that will give you the healing rituals of Aset. There's a lot of stuff there's a lot of hymns to these gods that you can get in ancient Egyptian books that have these particular hymns or these papyruses. And you want to recite a poem to them, a hymn to them. You see what I'm saying? There's Yoruba chants to these particular gods. You want to recite it over the water, and you can use it as a healing, as a healing vessel. And it's no different than the holy water which the Catholic priests or whatever them do. They just anoint it with whatever deity they're dealing with. But you made a turbo water when you put those crystals in it, and that's real key. So, like I said, we'll meet again, and we'll have more to give you.
All right.
Ashe.
Ashe.
In Hotep. Of astrological energy. We give you the astrological energy of a certain deity. And I'm trying to think of any type of deities that would line up. There's another book called The Shamanistic Mysteries of Ancient Egypt. The Shamanistic Mysteries of Ancient Egypt. It just came out probably in the spring of the year. And I'm hoping that book you'll be able to find the astrological and astronomical sequences that correspond with the Egyptian deities. There's another book called the Magical Tradition in Egypt. Egypt. So what you're still going to have to do is just go to your metaphysical store or anything, or go online and find out what deities correspond with what astrological signs. And basically you can line these deities up, and what are their characteristics that corresponds with this, with stones, perfumes, and different things. I know one book is the Kabbalistic, Alistair Crowley's Kabbalistic 777, that in the middle of the book, the table of correspondence, it will give you what deities correspond with zodiacs, what deities correspond with perfumes, what deities correspond with colors, what deities correspond with certain energy. Mm-hmm. And if they wanted that energy to permeate into this realm, they would create a deity that was conducive to bring that energy through. Now, since this cycle has returned, which it says, a woman, Dion Fortune, in a book called The Cosmic Doctrine, said that certain energies that was in the configuration during the times of Atlantis, certain stars, and certain stars, she mentioned Gemini for some reason, and which we know that's Gemini is the two twins, but it also represents the union of male and female in the tarot cards. And so she said, with those days that influenced Atlantis will influence Atlantis once again, or influence the earth once again. So, as you know, in my journey, I started out in Hemmitt, and I did Hemmitt for a number of years, a lot of stuff on the Egyptian base. And then it was time for me to go around the world, so we hit India, we hit Asia, we cover things around the world. Some of the new information is going to be coming out is going to be research on the Olmecs. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, the Linda's my queen mother who passed. Right.
The House of Consciousness.
That's right.
Let's go on, Brother Bobby Hemmitt. We left off last night, brother, where we was talking about they already have it mapped out who's going to be the next president.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they kind of underestimating just how probably sexist and racist this country is by thinking that Hillary Clinton can actually win. And they wouldn't vote on a woman that they like, let alone one that they hate. You see, so it's, so it could very well be that Giuliani can win. He's still the front runner, and we just have to see how it goes. But we already know that they already pick people. They already pick people. The ruling class or these particular secret societies already pick people to do certain things. So we just have to see how that goes. It's just like they knew that Clinton was going to win, and they picked him in, I think they said, the summer of 1990 in Baden-Baden, Germany. Bill Cooper used to talk about that. So we probably know that they picked. We know that they picked Bush, you see, because he even faked the election and was appointed. So more than likely, if Giuliani's a front runner, it could very well be that way, that he could be the next president. You see, so this is something that could very well be in our times. To see how this goes.
Talk to us, brother, about the lecture last night. It was a beautiful turnout. You dropped it on Anubis. I mean, you just went in dealing with the ancient Hemmites.
Oh, yes.
Talk to us about that. Is it anything that you left out that you would like to address?
Yes, I wanted to tell people the mysteries. We could put it on this one, the mysteries on how they can take these statues and bring them into their home.
Hold it up, Santi.
Take these statues.
Move your hand so they can see it.
And bring them into the home.
Right.
Yeah. And you bring these statues into your home and you set them around, and immediately these statues are actually bringing in energies from someplace else, from another dimension. So the ancient Kamite priests or the ancient Egyptian priests used to go into the ethers or go into the other dimensions through meditation, through visions and whatever, and they would see, I forgot to mention in the lecture this last night, that when we traced one of her names, and one of her names was Vescolanza, one of her spiritual names was Vescolanza, which means a energy that was deep under the pyramids of the Aztec pyramids or the Olmec pyramids, which later that goes all the way back to this energy, goes all the way back to the Olmecs. So she's an Olmecian goddess, Vescolanza. So these are things that we're constantly doing these research. But on the other hand, a lot of things happened in summer where a lot of Kamite gateways started opening up, and we had to come back and start dealing with a lot of the Egyptian stuff because a lot of the prophecy is also based around the Kamite mysteries. So now you can take these. So we bought a lot of statues, and you can take these images. And you can take these energies and whatever type of energy you want, all you would do is to line these energies up with these statues and bring these energies through. So in so many words, you can get certain books that will give you the energy of